What's up, everyone? Welcome back to A Cast for Crows, our Game of Thrones-inspired podcast here on Deadscreen.net. This week we are back to discuss Season 7, Episode 5, titled Eastwatch. I am Joe.
I'm Drew.
I'm Pat.
This is my boy Pat.
Hey.
He's filling in for Alexa because she's seeing the world.
Mm.
And she still couldn't make time for us, even in Italy. That jerk.
Nope, she doesn't have her priorities straight. So we got the next best thing.
All right, well, it's great to have you on the show, Pat. I guess we can start off with the opening scene from the episode where Dany decides to burn all the people who didn't bend the knee for her.
To get in your way, the opening scene was this nonsense where Jaime and Bronn just woke up at the edge of the lake and just dumb.
My dude Jaime in the last episode at the bottom of the Marianas Trench of Westeros just falling and
dumb
in a full suit of armor and is just no big deal.
Yeah, they just get up and they're like, woof, that was crazy, wasn't it? Neither of us is dead, even though we probably should be, and we're just gonna dilly-dally on away. For whatever reason, Jaime won't give Bronn a fucking castle. Just give him a castle. What's the problem? I feel like he's done enough.
But then if Jaime didn't have Bronn, homeboy would be fucked.
He should have been. He should have been dead there.
I mean, multiple times.
Yeah. Anyway, so after that ridiculousness,
I was going to let it slide.
Yeah. I felt like I needed to complain about it, but continue.
Okay, well, after that miraculous survival, Dany decides what to do with the people who won't bend the knee for her from the Lannister army, and she decides to burn them alive, most notably the two remaining Tarlys besides Sam. And what I wanted to know from you guys is, do you think she made the right decision to burn them alive? And if you were in her shoes, what would you have done?
I think if your name is Dickon, you deserve to be burned alive. That's my take.
I don't know, it's really interesting because I'm definitely not the smartest with all of this, but it's she is aggressive, but she's a fair sense of aggressive in that sense, and she sort of made that known to Tyrion, and I know him and Varys were talking about it afterwards, where they're like, oh, it's kind of like her father, but she did give him a chance. They didn't have a lot of choices, but they had at least some sort of a choice, so...
But it's it's bad because every time, she loves it. There's a glint in her eye or whatever every time that she burns someone. It's kind of like Sansa when she was watching Ramsay get his face eaten by the dogs last season and smirking as that's happening. It's Dany loves the burning people. It's just she knows she shouldn't do it.
I just think it's a nice easy win for her.
Oh, sure.
What's up?
It was a nice, easy win for Cersei to burn everyone alive, too. It's just not... It's not great.
No. I mean, I'm okay with it because at this point, what's the point of having dragons if you're just going to, dilly-dally and not use them? So I'm glad that they're getting, some aggressive use.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I totally think, she should have used them way earlier, the messing around with Tyrion, who's been taking L's all season long, kind of stuff, plotting everything was just bad. And she should have used them earlier. It's just from a PR standpoint, burning people alive is not great.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I'm ready for her to get moving.
Yeah,
I think it's, but and it was interesting. So the Tarly house, are they done? Is Sam just the only one left?
Yeah.
I think so.
There's been, 4 or 5 houses in the last, I guess, this season, dating back maybe, the series finale, or season finale of last year. 4 or 5 houses that have been just wiped off the map. Between the Martells,
the Tyrells,
the Tarlys, it's getting pretty low on the amount of houses left.
The season as a whole is definitely I know we've talked about this in past ones. It's really chugging along, and we're getting to those big points very quickly and efficiently, sometimes at the detriment of what could be nice build-up, but it's definitely a change of pace from previous seasons where we really gently wade into the season and get all comfortable with it. And this season we're just cannonballing right in. Stuff's moving. We're not slowing down.
I tend to agree, but also kind of disagree in the sense that it's been a lot of almost yada yadaing some stuff with specifically taking over Highgarden, but I feel like not a lot has really happened this season though. It's speeding everything along so that the stuff that does happen can happen, but it's still one thing an episode. Whereas in the past, I feel like there's been a lot of multiple plot lines kind of being progressed at the same time.
Right. But even that one thing an episode, I feel like was dragged out among 3 or 4 episodes in the last season.
Definitely.
There's just definitely a change of pace and timing that I kind of still have to keep getting used to, even though, we got 2 episodes left already?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And that's kind of what I guess that's kind of the point I was trying to make, is that we have 2 episodes left, and what has really happened so far this season? I mean, not a whole ton outside of the boat battle, the Dothraki battle, and then some.
I mean, we've had more battles. I feel like we've had more battles at this point than we've had in the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
In the same amount of time.
But not a lot has really been accomplished, you don't feel.
Right. And even the battles we've had, the Highgarden one was shown in half a scene, and then
that was a weird
sped
one.
along, and then the boat battle was I guess a more epic battle, but still not to the level of some of the stuff we've gotten in past seasons. This the one last week was the first one where I was this is similar to past seasons.
And let's see, after all the burning alive, she returns to Dragonstone, where Jon pets Drogon for the first time. And does this pretty much confirm he's going to ride a dragon at this point? He'll ride one of them, we think?
I mean, I bought into that theory just because you and Alexa were so high on it. And I mean, it kind of makes sense. They've been foreshadowing a bunch of that stuff in terms of his Targaryen powerness or whatever. So I'm not going to be shocked if that happens.
I think it'll happen, but it's interesting that, I mean, this scene is pretty much similar to the Tyrion scene, I guess 2 seasons ago, when he was freeing the dragons from Meereen, or letting them loose or whatever. And I mean, do we think all 3 of them are going to ride a dragon? I feel like at a certain point, she can't just always have 3 dragons, right?
No, we're definitely going to lose some of them.
Yeah, so I mean, it was the Tyrion thing just a throwaway scene, or I mean, I don't know. Because I mean, you guys have read the books, right? So you're more.
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I have, yeah.
Isn't there a whole theory that Tyrion is a secret Targaryen also?
There is. I know it's a very popular one. I personally haven't seen enough to buy into it, but it is possible for sure.
So, I mean, I don't know if I've only read a couple of things about it. I don't know if I necessarily buy it, but if it is the case, then, and we lose a dragon and there's 3 Targaryens and 2 dragons, that's kind of, I don't know, interesting, I guess.
And let's see, they also made plans to, now they're going to go north of the wall, and they're going to try and get a white to bring to Cersei and show her, hey, this is where the real danger is. We need to put our differences aside for now. And I guess what I want to know is, do you guys think it's a good idea? Do you think she can really be talked into any sort of a truce?
I don't. With Cersei? I mean, she's just insane at this point.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of mentioned it like it would be beneficial for her to go along with it since they were basically like
Yeah, they
destined
had nothing
to
else.
lose. But I don't. Nothing that the 6 seasons of this series has shown us has ever proven like that she would be okay with working with anyone. What
Yeah, I
what
mean,
does she stand other than being burned alive? What does she stand to gain from this? And why? More so from it. I mean, I'm less so confused about why she decided to do it, and more confused about what. Why does Dany want to do this? What does she stand to gain from Cersei joining her at all? She could just wipe her off the map like the next episode. There's no reason for her to want to do this.
Yeah, see, that's my thinking too, and I'm like, well, she says she doesn't want to use the dragons too much because she doesn't want to cause too much terror for like the the poor folk, the average folks. But it's like she's already gone through and burned this whole Lannister army, and it's like you could have this done in almost no time. You could take out so much of King's Landing with the dragons, and then you can just go north with Jon because you got no enemies left. You can just go north with him, and then y'all can fight the battle there. But I don't know why she waits for that.
And ultimately, like, she's putting up 3 of her biggest weapons that are not dragons, like at extreme levels of danger, along with a bunch of other people that could end up being very valuable, like partners for her, just to get one person who isn't necessarily any more or less valuable than any of the people she's risking for this mission. It doesn't seem like a great.
Her brain seems all weird lately. It's like Jon has messed up her brain,
Yeah.
almost. 'Cause she was on a clear path, and I think with the introduction of Jon kind of in her life, for whatever reason, she's just not thinking through things.
I think it's that, and also losing Jorah, because Tyrion kind of proved throughout the whole season he's not like a military-minded guy.
Yeah, but Jorah was back for all of like 1 second. She
Well-
was like, "Oh yes, I'm so happy to see you. Go north."
Well, right. I feel like having Tyrion making the decisions Jorah normally would have been making this season threw her off, because he's clearly not as adept at. I mean, he's very good at like the political stuff and the scheming, but not necessarily at the like military procedures or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The whole plan kind of bugged me, and I don't know if it's because it's so smart that it should have been thought of earlier, or if it's just so dumb. I can't decide which one I think it is, but part of that plan just bugged me. It's like, oh yeah, well, why don't we just go capture one and then be like, look, they're here. Well, yeah, you either think of that 5 seasons ago, or it's just a dumb plan.
I think it's
I can't quite decide.
I think it's smart in the sense that, like, it's not just going to be Cersei that they're showing this to. Like, Jaime's obviously going to be there. Bronn's going to be there.
Yeah, anybody that Jon has run into, he's been like, hey, these things are coming. Everybody's like, whatever, nerd. Like,
Right.
So Sam's having the same problem over there. Is nobody's believing anything anybody's saying. So, I can't tell if it makes a ton of sense, and I'm mad that they didn't think of it earlier, or if it just is so obvious that it's dumb, and
Yeah.
for a million different reasons it just shouldn't work.
I think it's dumb, but I guess hypothetically they could get Jaime to join their side if Cersei doesn't. They could get Qyburn maybe. Yeah, there's other people that they could win over even if Cersei stays herself.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way this changes her mind at all. She's crazy. She has nothing left to really live for. So if she sees an opportunity to feign interest and strike in some manner, she's going to take it.
And I don't know the whole geography of the world and stuff, but they're pretty far south, right, in King's Landing?
Yeah, they are.
I mean, why would
They're like a long ways from the wall.
That's not an immediate concern for her at all. Just let them wipe out the north, let the White Walkers take out everything north of King's Landing. What does she give a shit? I mean, it makes it easier for her, and then she can figure it out later on, I guess.
I don't know. I guess the thing is, though, like, once they would do that, I feel like she doesn't really have anything to battle them with. because at least like Dany has the dragons, and like Sam and Jon know that the dragon glass will kill them, but Cersei would be facing a threat coming to her with really no knowledge of how to handle it. Like even if she had a 100,000 people in an army, it wouldn't be enough.
She doesn't even believe in the White Walkers right now, does she?
I think it seems like she's getting more convinced, but she had that that line a couple of seasons ago where it was, I forget what the name of it is, but it's like calling them akin to like a fairy tale kind of thing.
Yeah. I think, was the word grumpkins or something like that?
That was it, yeah.
Glumpkins?
Something like that, I don't know. But speaking of Cersei, she also had a discussion with Jaime about his meeting with Tyrion and about how she needs to be able to trust him, and she revealed a little piece of information that she is pregnant. And first off, it's been hugely debated since last night. Do you guys think she's telling the truth, or do you think this is a lie?
I think she's pregnant because they made a very like deliberate thing of showing them getting down with it a couple episodes ago and stuff. But like, there's something obviously going. My whole deal is like, what has Qyburn been doing? They keep mentioning the guy like scheming behind the scenes, but he's been shown less and less this season, and it could be like a pacing thing since he's not a major character and we have less episodes, but it seems like he's up to something. And I don't know, he like reanimated someone from the dead. It wouldn't be past my like suspicions, I guess, for him to somehow figure out a way to impregnate Cersei somehow other than Jaime. I don't know.
Yeah, it was interesting because in last night's episode, I think there were 2 different times where like we come on Cersei and Qyburn, but we don't know what they had been saying. Like it was the end of a conversation, so we're left like asking like, okay, what's going on here? Why is she being this dependent on him?
Yeah,
you know, we don't really know.
It's like him walking out the door as Jaime's walking in, kind of thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I think she could. I don't know. She's just an insane person at this point, and I don't know how. I don't know if, because she could have been sensing that Jaime is kind of slipping further and further away, and like we've all been sort of speculating, he might, he's gonna probably be part of her demise in some fashion. But if this turned out to be true, like what an easy way to just rope him back onto her side 100%.
Right, it was evident right away, like as soon as she told him that she was going to say he was the father, he was like, I know I just almost died, but I'm super stoked right now. Yeah, I don't know, that was definitely, it seemed, I don't know if it's just the way that the actors were playing it, but it definitely seemed more calculated than just a pregnancy announcement.
So,
go ahead.
The problem, I think you're moving on to the next thing. I'm totally not on board with all this Gendry nonsense.
What?
Really?
Dude, I was super annoyed. So, Joe, give me a little recap here on what was happening to our boy when we last saw him, however many seasons ago.
Okay, Gendry he got caught up with the Brotherhood Without Banners, who then sold him to Melisandre, and she was gonna burn him alive to something about Stannis' claim to the throne.
It was the leeches,
if I remember right? Yeah, it was to leech him.
Yeah.
But then Davos sets him free, and then the last time we saw him, of course, he was rowing his boat.
So, where did he set him free from?
Dragonstone.
Dragonstone?
Which is it's just like across the bay from King's Landing. So it's not like that far-fetched for him to be there.
So the dude got on a boat and we didn't hear from him for like 5 seasons, and he's just working away.
It wasn't that long.
basically in the same place where we first saw him for the first time, right?
Well, yeah, but that's important though, because they said in, I guess it would have been season 1 when Ned was like messing around, that dude he was like apprenticing with could like make Valyrian steel weapons or like deconstruct Valyrian steel weapons. So if he's able to make like a Valyrian steel hammer or like more swords, that's pretty huge considering what we know about them and the White Walkers.
So I don't think that he's going to have a not important role. My problem is that this was a character that was pretty big for basically a whole season, a little more, and then fell off the face of the earth. We heard nothing from, and in the span of like 3 minutes, he's like a pivotal character again, I feel like. And it just bugs me. Like, I almost feel like they had a plan for him, and then for whatever reason it didn't work out, and then somebody in the staff meeting was like, oh, what if we bring Gendry back, and then he's a hammer and stuff? Like, I don't know if this mirrors any part of the book, or like at anything that the book is hinting at, but it just seems like it's easy fodder for them to grab a character that everybody liked, that has just, they wrote out of the show basically, to bring him back, and there's 0% chance he survives the season.
Well, it's just to draw the parallel between Ned and Robert, right? Because
For the most part, yeah.
Giving us a character that we already have invested interest with, that doesn't serve a bigger purpose, that we'll feel emotion about when he dies in the next episode.
Right, but he's like using the same weapon that his dad used, and he's working with his dad's best friend's son. And
I mean, I think that all plays into it. Him coming back was easy.
Right. I think they should have brought him back
weird.
sooner. It is weird that they chose to bring him back now, but it's also like, it doesn't bother me that bad because it's pretty big fan service. And
if it's just the speed of the season, or if we had a normal season, we would have saw a glimpse of him in episode 3 and then a little bit more in episode 5, and at episode 7 maybe he comes on. But it was just like very startling to me as somebody invested in this show as I am, to have him show up again, and immediately be like, all right, let's go, I'm on board. And then him and like Jon, I feel like, is skeptical of everybody, and Jon's like, what's up, dude? Like, let's go do it.
Yeah.
And everything just got locked into place too easy, too quick.
Oh, well, you think he's gonna die though?
Yeah, 100%, absolutely.
There's no way.
If he's not dead, this season, he's 100% dead next.
Well, yeah,
season.
because next season's the last season. But I mean, he has to meet up with Arya before he dies.
That's what I was thinking too. There's that connection there that you feel like they have to have at least one more reunion before he
Even
goes.
if it's just like in the season finale, like if they all survive going back to Winterfell before, like after they do all this stuff north of the Wall, but like there has to be at least that scene, and then like they can do whatever the fuck they want to with him. I don't really care.
I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't make it back. After their little expedition they're going on right now.
I mean,
you're gonna pick him for the death pool.
Yeah, I didn't do one, but like they're running out of characters to sort of kill.
There's definitely going to be some deaths. Like we're
gonna lose Tormund.
Yeah, Tormund. We have to see the Hound come back because he has to have like some big fight with his brother. The Brotherhood, like 2 main dudes, I could see them dying, but like I feel like Gendry, Jon, Jorah. Like, Jorah's not going to come back from Grayscale just to die the next episode. That's not going to happen.
No, he'll die sometime in the next season. He'll sacrifice himself for Dany in some way.
But I feel like most of the, like, integral people are going to come back, and then it'll just be, like, Tauros and those dudes.
I don't know. Like, if you think about when they introduced Oberyn and all that stuff, like, it took us a while to really get on board with him. So when he died, it was like, holy shit, no, like...
But that was all, like... canon from the books and stuff, and this is like them.
But this was just an easy way. It's like you're playing with all these characters and you didn't realize you dropped one on the floor, and you just picked him up and you go, oh, he's still here. Like, I liked this guy. We like already immediately invested with this person. Like if this was a new character and they just like, he's like, oh, I know some dude who can swing a hammer or whatever. Nobody's gonna care. And so when he goes out and eventually gets killed in some manner, we'll just be like, yep, that's somebody dying in Game of Thrones. Whereas now we have a vested interest in him, like immediately off the back. I don't know. I always thought that his return was going to be something a little more interesting. Yeah. But at the same time, what could have lived up to him being like, roll away. We'll forget about you for 4 seasons or whatever it was.
I don't know. I did think him swinging the hammer like his dad and taking out those 2 guards was pretty dope. but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, he fits in very well. Like, it does not feel misplaced, I don't think. It just feels easy,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I just don't have any faith that dude's going to stay alive for very long.
Yeah, I get that.
Let's see. Moving on over to Old Town, Sam is still trying to convince the other Maesters to do more research on the White Walkers and take the threat seriously. Again, they're still squabbling amongst themselves for the most part. But I want to move forward to what Gilly, of all people, found out while reading a book, and Sam shouting over her. But she reveals for us that apparently Rhaegar Targaryen had his marriage to Elia Martell annulled and arranged a second secret marriage, which we all know as fans, being to Lyanna Stark. And just want to point out that this does mean, once and for all, Jon is not a bastard child. So he's not a Jon, he's not a Snow, and he's not a bastard. So this dude's got to figure out his identity.
Sam, my dude Sam, showing that mansplaining manages to survive both in mythical realms and in the real world. That was like, I was watching it with my fiance and she was like, "Shut the fuck up, dude."
So,
He dealt with one too many shits.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
in terms of book information, is that something that had been hinted at, that like as a book reader you were like, hey, it's confirmed in some capacity, or was that all brand new, like, oh, that's interesting?
It's been debated for close to 20 years probably that he had a second marriage, but I don't think anybody really thought annulment was a thing in those times. It was just thought that being a Targaryen, he would have taken a second wife and married Lyanna in secret. But yeah, it was a book theory, but there was no real evidence to back it up.
So with the annulment, like, I mean, it was common back then that the lords would marry multiple women, right? So
yeah,
the
I think
annulment,
so. And like in Westeros history, the Targaryens definitely took multiple wives.
so what's the purpose of having the annulment? Why didn't he just marry Lyanna, like, on as well as Elia?
Yeah, that was my question too, and I don't really know. It's possible that it's just times are a little bit more modern, like in the Westeros timeline, and maybe he felt that was the most proper way to go about it. But yeah, that definitely surprised me too. I'm not sure why he would have done that.
But ultimately, like, the significance is to show that he was married to Lyanna and that Jon isn't a bastard and he has, like, a claim to the throne, right?
Yep.
Which...
And I...
No, go ahead.
Like, being... like, it's hard to explain, but there's a lot of people now that think this claim means that Jon's claim to the throne is actually stronger than Dany's.
Well, right.
That's what I was going to ask.
Because Rhaegar was...
Give me a rundown.
Rhaegar's older than Dany. He's the son instead of the daughter, and Jon would be his true-born, like, heir. And the other kids were killed by the Mountain, right? So he would be the oldest and only child of Rhaegar.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. I guess it is a lot of it is based around gender, I suppose. But like in the scheme of things, I think we've confirmed many times that Jon doesn't really give a crap about being that kind of a leader. He just kind of wants to go get in the action and do whatever needs to be done, no matter what.
He's the Marshawn Lynch.
Don't...
He's about that action, boss. No, but it's interesting to me because, like, other than if we're like taking it as purely a fan service thing, I don't understand what point it serves to the plot, because Jon barely wants to be the king of the North, let alone the king of the Seven Kingdoms. So I don't understand what role, other than just saying, like, this is for the fans, saying that he has, like, a legitimate claim to being the king, really will serve.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it would be mostly a fan service thing, just because, like, you can't really see those two arguing about it, like, next season anytime. And I think it was just one of those that's been debated for so long. and maybe show watchers have picked up on it too, and they were wondering the same thing, and so they just decided to confirm it there. I don't know, but I don't see it being a big deal for like Dany's claim to the throne, honestly.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like bigger picture, do we really think both of them are going to survive to the end? Like, I mean, I have my own thoughts on it, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think one of them will be dead by the end.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I'm not sure which, but one.
Personally,
I think they're all dead. I think we lose every person.
And then the Night King just turns to the camera and winks at the last shot.
I've explained this like two or three seasons of this podcast ago. The last scene is going to be the Night's King walking into King's Landing, and it's just going to be snow falling, and he's going to sit on the throne, and then that'll be the end. He'll have won. That is what I'm rooting for. I want everybody gone.
Personally, I kind of feel that like Jon and the Night King are just going to take each other out, and then it'll be like Dany or whoever that is in charge. But
I don't know. From just a show perspective, like almost pretending that the books never existed, I don't know how you let somebody win.
Right, yeah.
Because it is weird, like you like a bunch of characters that aren't on the same side, so how do you just have a side lose? Like,
okay. I mean, I disagree with that.
I mean, I don't want that to happen. I just feel like
who really likes Cersei at this point?
Yeah, but they like Jaime.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
Like, that's two different sides. I think Jaime's gonna come back around and be very pro Lannister for the next couple episodes till we either find out that Cersei was lying or that that he realizes she's too far gone, one or the other. So I think it is at some point you're gonna have a very strong one group of characters that most people like versus another group of characters that people like, and that's what I thought through this episode. Maybe they were going to find a way to put everybody on the same side, but I still don't think they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just don't know how you have somebody win.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like at a certain point it's going to be everyone versus Cersei, but then like no one really caring about her and it really being everyone versus the White Walkers, which I could see. I mean, I could see at the end everyone getting wiped out and Cersei being the only one left. I mean, I don't know.
I'm hoping for that bleak outcome.
Yeah.
We've spent like 3 seasons listening to him say this, like how he just wants
That's
everybody
all I want.
to die.
I'm going to be really disappointed when that doesn't happen.
But then what's the next step? Do they go to Essos after that? And then do we get a spinoff where it's like him hanging out with Bravos?
It's just the nice way to have it all wrap up. Be like, oh, the whole Game of Thrones, it didn't matter. Everybody's dead. Like, they lost the game.
That'd be interesting. That is very fitting your personality for you to believe.
It just, I feel like it wraps it up all nice, because if, say Dany wins, or somehow, say Jon's left on the throne, like, I want to see more of that. Yeah. But if everybody's dead, I'll be like, oh, fun ride. Like, good.
But it's good.
I don't
know, it's going to be like if there was an outrage after the Dexter series finale, if we have something as, like, bleak as the Night King just think it YOLOing on the throne.
I still think it fits the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like, their personality as the show's built it. They're not afraid to get rid of anybody for any reason, which is the reason that I think this show's so good. So this would be like the ultimate version of that.
To me, that'd be more fitting if George was running the show. Like, that seems like a very George R. R. Martin ending. But the people, like David and I forget the other guy's name, but the people that actually run the show, it's been more traditional, I guess, than anything else. So
I bitched about it like an episode or two ago. Nobody's in danger right now.
Yeah, this is the first time I was listening. I don't know if you guys listened to the podcast The Watch, but this is like the first season where it's felt like a TV show instead of like something.
Right. And it's a huge bummer. I hate it. Like, if the last, the 2 episodes ago, if that episode was 2 seasons ago, We would have lost Braun, we would have lost Jaime, we would have lost the dragon, and it would have been great. But instead, we had a safe battle.
I mean, we could still lose all those things, and my boy Dickon got burned, so, I mean, there's still...
Yeah, but nobody cares about Dickon. Nobody
Everyone.
cared. Nobody cared.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
It just feels like we've talked about this before, but it feels like ever since they've passed the source material of the books, that David and Dan are playing it safe more often than not. And I totally agree. Like, if George was running the show, I could see the books ending like Andy wants, with just everybody getting wiped out. But you don't feel that the Game of Thrones showrunners really would take that kind of a risk.
I agree, but I also kind of disagree, because I agree to an extent, but then there's also stuff that is purely like their creation, like Hard Home and like the Battle of the Bastards, that, I mean, does show kind of like they are still operating in the same kind of world that George created. I just don't think it'll be quite that bleak.
Yeah.
One can dream. So,
well, speaking of danger, your boy Littlefinger is
not my boy. Not my boy.
I need help with whatever the dang heck Littlefinger's doing, because all he's done this season is make that stupid face and make me not worried.
Well, I like it a lot, because this is the most shook that your boy has been the whole series. Like when Bran threw back that Chaos is a Ladder line to him, that was like the most scared we've seen him since when Cersei almost had him killed in season 1.
Right, but that all he's done this season is be scared and not interesting, and so he finally has something up his sleeve, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, are there any theories what that letter is? Because I feel like they didn't show us a long enough glimpse of it to actually.
I couldn't read a single thing on it.
I read the letter. It's actually it's the letter that Cersei forced Sansa to write, like back in season 1 or something like that, where she confirmed that Ned had been beheaded, and she's like, "Robb, please come down to King's Landing and pledge your fealty to King Joffrey." All that
so
stuff.
It's gonna be like,
and
Sansa's like turned her back on the family or whatever, and to try to piss Arya off, or.
Oh yeah, he's definitely trying to play the two sisters against each other.
I just wonder how like Bronn is gonna fit in with that. Like, is he so detached at this point that he's not gonna care if his sisters are like at each other's throats, or is he gonna be like, yeah, my man's on some bullshit here?
No, he's gonna be dumb robot child.
That's the most disappointing thing this season to me, is that, and it's part of the, I think the lesser amount of episodes, decreased length of the season, but we got all this cool flashback stuff with Bronn last year, and now his powers are supposed to be like exponentially more than even what we saw when he was with the Three-Eyed Raven previously. But like, there's been no flashbacks at all this season, and it just seems severely lacking that the extent of his powers we get to see are like him warging into ravens.
Yeah, I agree, and like, I want to see, like, what he does is interesting, and we're not seeing enough of it. Instead, we're mainly seeing that as he's gaining these powers, he's losing more of like his humanity and his heart along the way, and it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense given what we saw of the previous Three-Eyed Raven last season. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys talked about it last week, but the scene with him and Mira, and then some of the stuff that we've seen with him and Littlefinger and stuff, it's just like, there's got to be something that's more of a payout for all the time we spent with him training than just him being like a robot.
Yeah, and I think, like, if he knows, like, nearly everything now, is he not aware that it was Littlefinger who kind of betrayed Ned in season 1, and that, like, ultimately led to his death? Like, shouldn't he be revealing this to Sansa and Arya?
Or
soon?
telling...
That's kind of what I'm waiting for.
Or telling people what Jon's doing, and who Jon is. Like, surely he would know that by now with the stuff we saw last season. And like, I guess it's like
He's not very good. He's not a very good computer.
Well, I guess it's part of the detachment. Like, he's losing his humanity, so he's not really, I guess, caring what people should know about, and he's just focused on the White Walkers. I don't know. But also, at the same time, like, he's still, what, like, 14 or 15? Like, who's really going to believe? If people aren't believing Sam at the Citadel, who's going to believe, like, a 15-year-old kid that can't walk?
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I just one other thing that kind of just bugged me a bit is Arya. Why didn't Arya think to put on a face before she went into Littlefinger's room?
Face?
What?
Do you need to kill somebody to wear a face?
Or
can you just like steal a
and this
face?
This is interesting.
They have to be
me
dead. I
too,
think.
like the mechanics of it. Like, do they have to actually make a face? Like, is it an actual mask that they have to make and put on, or is it like she just like mask on, mask off kind of
Magics?
thing? I mean, what goes into like? Because we didn't even really see it with what was his name, Jakar. We never really saw anything that went into the mask stuff. It would just be like they would turn away, then turn back, and the new face would be on. And that was kind of something I was wondering with the first scene of the season with the Walder Frey stuff. What kind of goes into, like, do they take on the height of the person? Because she is, I would imagine, notably smaller than the actor that played Walder Frey. That all is interesting to me.
I would imagine, as far as that goes, I think she probably was able to pick a victim, like a Frey victim, who was close enough to her height that there wouldn't be any suspicion raised. But, like, I was thinking back to that scene, and she took off the mask, and I'm like, well, if she had the mask with her there, why not pull it out at Winterfell? Like,
well,
I don't
That's
know.
kind of what I meant. Like, do you have to make a separate mask for each person that you're impersonating? Is it just like a mask that can change? I don't know. Or is it just like magic? There's not like an actual mask.
Yeah, that's the thing, is we just don't really know, because we didn't really get enough about it back in that Bravo
Right.
storyline.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that she didn't use one maybe lends a little bit more information as to, like, maybe you have to kill somebody and do some magic whatever or something and to use it. But that was the first thing I thought was, why not just put on somebody else's face while you're sneaking around?
I mean, it might be everything we've seen with her. Like, she's kind of got a chip on her shoulder. Like, just maybe she didn't care if someone saw, or didn't think that, or thought she was good enough to where no one would see her. But yeah, I don't know.
Either
Right,
way,
Joe.
I think it was nice to have her, or Littlefinger, like, back in a position of
Yeah.
somewhat power and scheming again. And, Arya best not underestimate him, but I do think she will kill him soon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, was what do you think his game plan is right now between them two, and, the purpose of all of that?
I don't know. Like, it's obvious he's just trying to sow discord, but I'm not really sure what the end goal is. Like, is he trying to sabotage Sansa too with all this? I'm not sure what he stands to gain ultimately.
What is his position right
He's
now?
the head of Harrenhal, right?
Lord of the Vale.
What?
Does he still have Harrenhal, or is it just the Vale?
I imagine he has
So it's-
Harrenhal
yeah,
too.
okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So, is there anything he can do to sort of get in charge of Winterfell again, or is he not in any position to, like, sneak that out?
I feel like it would have to be like a Bolton kind of thing where he just takes out all of the Starks and then is...
I'm just trying to figure out what...
Or
his
if he
end goal
marries
is, 'cause
Sansa and then becomes the Lord of Winterfell also.
Right. It seems very obvious that he's trying to get the two sisters unhappy with each other, but I'm trying to figure out
What's more
why.
interesting to me is I feel like it's pretty much almost like guaranteed at this point that Arya's going to kill him in one way or another. I just think it'll be more interesting how Sansa is going to react to that, because as much as like she likes to kind of drag Littlefinger around, like there are some scenes where it seems like if she doesn't, there's like a respect there where I feel like if he died and she didn't want him to die, she's not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, I could see that. So a driving point of this whole episode was getting this little gang of misfits together. We finally got to see the Hound, like, what, episode 1 or 2, and then he was missing for 4 more episodes. And so it was this group of people that it seemed like everybody kind of knew each other already, and a lot of people didn't like each other, but they all had the same plan. And my first question was, we saw the Hound looking into the fire, and he and the Brotherhood Without Banners were like, yeah, like, there's some stuff going on up here. But what was their end goal? Why were they going there?
Well, that's like, they're the same religion as Melisandre, right? The ruler.
Right.
So,
Yep.
I would imagine that, I mean, Beric probably thinks at this point that if he's brought back, 6 or 7 times, that he has, like, some larger role to play. So, I don't know, it seemed to me like they were going up north to confront them, and then it just...
I thought they were going to Eastwatch.
Well, yeah, that's like... Wasn't there something in the series premiere that John was saying that that's, like, the northernmost...
Right. I'm saying, my question was, why were they going there outside of them seeing it in the fire and that just being their
I
next
think it's
destination?
just that, like, they're just going along with whatever they're seeing from the religion or whatever.
So the Hound and the 2 crazy guys, they get up to
Yeah, so who was
Eastwatch.
it again? It was the Hound and those 2, John,
Gendry,
Jorah,
Tormund.
Tormund, and was that it?
And what's his fate?
Davos,
Davos is
that's
just
right.
there, but he's not going
Right.
to go with them.
Yeah, I mean, I
So-
think it's interesting. They all kind of, I mean, not all of them hate all of the rest of them, but there's definitely some, like, hatred among the people there. But I like what John said in it. It's like they're all on the same team because they're breathing and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see next week if, if they're all united to fight the Walkers, or if some of them turn on each other, or what'll happen.
Yeah, it seemed a little weird to me that the Hound and all of them were so gung-ho about going north. I don't know if I just don't understand enough, or we didn't get enough exposition on what their end goal is, but it just seemed very weird. You know, they walked all the way up there, they got thrown in jail. John shows up and says, hey, we're going north. And they're like, all right, fine, we'll go with you.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what happens, I mean, kind of related with Melisandre, because we haven't really seen her for, outside of, like, a quick scene for most of the season. And, I mean, is she just going to chill in Dragonstone for the whole time? Or, like, is she going to gang up with the other Lord of Light people? I don't know. That whole religion, like the fanatics of it, I guess, are kind of interesting to me.
It's very unclear. I just don't understand why, if there's only, like, 3 of the main characters that we care about, I guess I had expected that they would maybe go to Winterfell first, or even go to the Night's Watch, so that they would be part of a full army, whereas it seemed what they were doing is just the 3 of them trying to go beyond the wall to fight the Walkers. Like, that's even if you have the Lord of Light, surely that's still suicide. Like, 3 of
Right.
you?
That was the big thing, is Lauren, when the episode ended, Lauren goes, I don't feel like their plan is very good right now.
Well, I would
And
I would
mean,
totally
gotta
get it
agree.
why Thoros and Beric would do it, because they're crazy. But, like, we're really supposed to believe that the Hound, like, sees one little thing in the fire and he's like, oh, I'm all in now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was sort of that whole, like, I was super stoked to see him, like, walk out in the cool formation, walking in this, like, I'm all about that. It's, it's going to be badass and awesome, but I have a hard time believing that they were so easily able to get there. And I think, unfortunately, that's just a side effect of this season being at the speed it is.
So I guess it begs us to talk about the next episode and the battle we now know is coming. So we have 7 characters here. Who do you think is going to live, and who do you think is going to die?
I think I could see both of them dying, but I think the most likely to die is Thoros, because then it will be interesting to see Beric alive without having the safety net of someone being able to bring him back. I kind of feel like everyone else is going to make it though, because like I feel like Thoros and Beric are the most likely to die because they're kind of the least important. But then I still want to see Gendry get back with Arya. Jorah, I feel like, has to get back to Dany, and they're not going to bring him back just for one episode. Jon obviously isn't going to die. And then it's like the Hound is the only other one left, and I kind of want to see him fight his brother. I feel like everyone else is going to make it.
There's a 0% chance.
Tormund I forgot Tormund. Yeah, I could see Tormund dying too.
Tormund is 100%.
That would be
done.
like the big fan, like, God damn it kind of death thing, because he's the best. I mean, he's the best.
So I don't think he makes it back, and I'm not going to be shocked at all if Gendry doesn't make it back.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about that. I think he'll survive, but I can totally see it if he dies.
So 7 left. I bet you 4 or 5.
I think I'm going to go with 5. Yeah. I think Tormund and Thoros will probably bite it.
Just for the sake of being different, I'll say 4 come back, 3 die, and I'm going to go for a surprise death here and say Jorah.
Yeah, I could see that.
I could see it. It just... That would be tough.
Frustrating.
And I guess that's kind of along the lines of what the show has done in the past, but that would definitely be tough.
So, I like the way he writes and the way that the show sort of followed was I felt like we got put in these situations and they go, what would be the most frustrating thing to happen, and let's have that happen. And I feel like that was the way a lot of stuff was going on. And I don't think it's happening this time. This last season and a half. So I hope we get a return to that.
It's just not sustainable. Like at a certain point, like it loses power. Like
you just got to
did anyone
characters.
Really think at the end of season 5, or was it 4? I don't remember what season. But did anyone really think that Jon was really going to be dead after? I mean, right. So at a certain point, when you continually do that over and over again, it loses the power of it. And I don't know. Outside of like, I mean, this is the whole conversation we're having. There's all these people that are going out there that there's not really any chance that a lot of them are going to die. It's just these handful that are kind of expendable.
Right. But this season and a little bit of last season are the first seasons that we ever felt.
If Littlefinger were to die, which at this point I feel like more people think he will than not, that would be pretty huge, even if it is slightly predictable. Or if Cersei was going to die, which I feel like isn't going to happen this season. But my fiance put in that death poll that we did that Cersei was going to die in the season premiere. So I think that's the only thing that I think would be less likely is if the Night King died like this season.
Yeah, I keep thinking about it sort of in chunks of the whole series. If this episode happened in season 3, not a single one of those characters would be safe. But just it's the nature of the story. We're farther along. Everybody has more of a important role to play. So by default, they're a little bit safer, which is just a bummer because that's the vibe that Game of Thrones always had. And I keep going back to a scene, I think last season, where Jaime was in the room and a bunch of sparrows came in, and like I legitimately thought, I'm like, are they gonna kill him right here? Like, because everybody was vulnerable, and I will not ever get over it. I'm not worried about anybody right now. But come the last couple episodes of next season, all bets are off because who cares? It's the last season. Like everybody could die.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, at this point, there's really only like 5 important characters. I just don't see... They all are so important that they're going to have to play a part in like whatever the final act is, which means that, they're all going to have to survive this season. I mean, I just don't see any. I would feel more cheaped out if someone like Tyrion was to die in the season finale this season than if he were to make it to the series finale. So at a certain point, like, yeah, we could lose people like Tormund or Jorah, and I mean even like Sansa or Arya or Brienne, but like, or Jaime for that matter. But there are certain people that are just too important to me. Losing them would be more of a like, what the fuck is this show doing kind of thing than keeping them around.
Yeah, I agree. Is that anything else we want to tackle for next week, or
I'm just excited that we're having like another hard home type episode again, because I mean personally that's my favorite episode of the series, and there's just, I know that it's like borderline Deus Ex Machina kind of thing, but like you can't use the White Walkers too often and it would just dilute the like cool factor of them, I guess. But I'm ready for another big battle with them.
Yeah, definitely. Is the next episode like gonna be? Is it definitely gonna be like that battle will be the whole episode, or is there gonna be other
They
stuff?
showed in the
in?
preview like there is some stuff with Dany and some stuff with Sansa, so I'd imagine it's kind of similar to like Battle of the Bastards or Hard Home, where you spend like the first 20 minutes or whatever, like tying up loose ends kind of stuff, and then the next like 40 minutes just all out with the battle. But I don't know. That's just going off what it looked like from the preview.
Works for me. All right. Well, I think that about wraps up our discussion of episode 5, Eastwatch. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, Mr. Haynes, for being with us this week. And don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at DeadScreenNet and at A Cast for Crows, and we'll be back with you next week. Goodbye.